Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Austin Young Chamber Civics 201 Issues and Policy in Central Texas for the pre-learning session, Understanding Homelessness, Causes, Symptoms, and Solutions. My name is Alicia Palacios Woods, and I am the President and CEO of the Austin Young Chamber. At the Austin Young Chamber, we are focused on supporting young professionals to be the dynamic business and community leaders our region needs. Among our focus is to create a young professional community that fosters diversity of ideas and perspectives so that we can collectively overcome the many challenges we are facing as a community. We run many programs throughout the year that incorporate business development, civic engagement, and personal growth opportunities. Since the pandemic started affecting our community in March, the Austin Young Chamber has continued to offer programming virtually, over 30 programs over the past 6 months. We encourage you to hop onto our website at austinyc.org to learn more about becoming a member and engaging with us throughout the year. And now on to our session. There are many myths and misconceptions about those experiencing homelessness. In this session, you will learn about the root causes of homelessness, critical support systems for housing stability, and how the nationally recognized Community First Village model is changing how we help our neighbors. It is my pleasure to welcome our speaker, Amber Fogarty. In Amber's role as President and Chief Goodness Officer of Mobile Lives and Fishes, she is responsible for ensuring that the organization's vision, mission, strategy, core values, and goals are embodied and evangelized. Mobile Loaves and Fishes empowers communities into a lifestyle of service with the homelessness and is the visionary nonprofit behind Austin's innovative Community First Village, a 51-acre master plan development that provides affordable, permanent housing and a supportive community for the chronically homeless in Central Texas. In addition to her role leading MLF strategy and operations, she also leads the organization's development, communications, stewardship, and education teams. Prior to joining Mobile Loaves and Fishes, Amber served as the Director of Learning and Leadership for Mission Capital and spent 11 years as an adjunct professor at St. Edward's University. Amber, thank you for joining us today. I'll now virtually pass the mic to you.
Thank you so much. It is an absolute pleasure to be with you all. I am excited to dive in and talk about homelessness. So let's get started. I am going to just start by talking about homelessness in Austin, what the reality of our current situation is, because I think that's a good place to start to lay some groundwork and some framework for the work that we're doing here at Community First Village. So one of the things that I hear most often when people talk about homelessness in Austin, we talk about how dire the situation is, and I hear a lot of people talking about how we are becoming Seattle or Portland or San Francisco or LA. And so I like to share this information just to give you a sense of how we're doing in Austin per capita when you look at homelessness, and this is based on the rate per 10,000 residents. And so you can see Austin, we have about 25 homeless people for every 10,000 residents in our city. And we have a lot of work to do, but our situation is not nearly as dire as some of these other cities, particularly on the West Coast. So I always like to start with that just to help us all understand the scale of the situation. When you look at the cities in the United States with the most homeless people, New York City is by far at the top of the list. Then you've got Los Angeles, Seattle, the San Jose, Santa Clara area, San Diego. So lots of areas in California. And Austin doesn't make it onto that list of the top 10. When you look at our point in time count in the city of Austin, so each year we are required as a city, as all other cities across the country are required, to do a point in time count that is mandated by the Department of Housing and Urban Development, and it is a single point in time. So this was from January 2020, our latest count. But this gives you a sense. The orange bars show you the sheltered population, and then the blue bars show you the unsheltered population in Austin. And so you can see we've had some ups and downs over the years, things trending up more recently. And then in this past year, we saw a bigger spike in our unsheltered count, growing from 1,086 people in 2019 to 1,574 people in 2020. And a big piece of that, you'll notice that our unsheltered count, our sheltered count actually dropped during that time. And so there were some particulars on the night of the count that caused that. And also as a community, we just do not have the shelter that we need in order to take care of our folks that are on the street. One thing that I think is important to note, a lot of rhetoric is out there in Austin right now about this incredible rise in homelessness. And so what I think is helpful about looking at this information, the center graph there shows you the growth in our population. So during this time from 2011 to 2020, we have experienced dramatic population growth in our city, but homelessness has remained relatively steady as a percentage of the total county population. So I think that's important to note, that we are seeing huge population growth in our city, and we are not seeing the same kind of explosion in homelessness that some may think. Certainly, we have seen a change since the ordinances were overturned in 2019, and so homelessness has become more visible. We are able to see it more than we were able to see it previously, and the ordinances played a role in that, and then there are also several other factors that played a role, particularly the amount of real estate development that's happening in Austin. All of the places that our homeless friends were previously, where they had urban camps, a lot of those areas have now been developed, so they've been pushed out of those areas and more into the open. And then the other big factor is many of you have noticed a tremendous amount of road construction all throughout our city, but particularly on I-35, we've seen a huge amount of construction. All of those bridges along 35 from Georgetown to San Marcos have been reconstructed, and that has also impacted the visibility of homelessness as we've pushed people out of some of the areas where they have more traditionally been. One thing that I think is key from our point in time count is to look at the trends related to the various populations. And so if you look at the orange bar on the top, that shows the single unsheltered population. And that's the population where we are really seeing much more growth. The single sheltered population, as I mentioned, decreased a bit from 2019 to 2020. When you look at youth and families, we're not seeing huge increases there. And in fact, when you look at those bottom two, when you look at families that are unsheltered, as well as youth that are unsheltered, those are that's a very small number of folks. And so when we think about community solutions and how we are going to address this issue in our city, we have to really focus on both the single population, both sheltered and particularly the unsheltered population, because that is where we have the biggest areas for improvement. So I'm going to walk you through an overview of some core philosophies for Mobile Loaves and Fishes, just to help you understand where we're coming from when we think about the way we approach homelessness in our city. Mobile Loaves and Fishes has been serving people experiencing homelessness for 22 years in Austin. So this is a population that we know well and a population that we love deeply. So one of our core beliefs here is that the single greatest cause of homelessness is the profound, catastrophic loss of family. When people talk about what causes homelessness, we throw out all kinds of reasons. We talk about mental illness, we talk about addiction, we talk about affordable housing, we talk about employment opportunities. There are so many factors that are out there, but we have come to believe very deeply that the single greatest cause is that profound, catastrophic loss of family. That has been our experience in the 22 years we've been working with homeless folks in our city, that we just see such brokenness in the family system. If you think about the times that we're living in now, most of us in our families, in our either immediate or extended families, have someone who has struggled with mental illness, someone who has battled addiction. And for the most part, our families are able to rally around those folks, and we're able to prevent homelessness by coming together and figuring out ways to care for our family members. And that reality just isn't true in every family. Without exception, every person that I've had the opportunity to get to know over the years that I've been working with people experiencing homelessness, which is about 16 years now, there are stories of just such profound trauma. So much struggle within their families, abuse, neglect, trauma that for most of us is hard to wrap our heads around. And so I think it is really important when we look at homelessness and we want to understand what causes it, to recognize that trauma and that profound and catastrophic loss of family is right there at the center. We also believe at Mobile Loaves and Fishes that housing will never solve homelessness, but community will. If we think about the solutions to homelessness and we only think about four walls and a roof, that alone will never be enough. The work that we do here at Community First Village really and truly has nothing to do with the housing. It has nothing to do with the tiny homes, with the 3D printed homes that we have within our village. It has everything to do with rallying the community together to care for our neighbors who are struggling. So that is the focus of our model and the focus of our approach. We really focus on empowering communities into a lifestyle of service with the homeless. So we want to bring the entire community together. We know that homelessness can be a really divisive issue, and we don't want it to be. We want it to be an issue where we come together as a community, where we can unify and say that, yes, we have neighbors that are in need, and we are going to create a community effort in order to serve and care for them. The work that we do at Mobile Loaves and Fishes is always done with our friends who have experienced homelessness. We are not doing this for them or to them, but we want to work alongside them to create a community where they can be housed and where they can really live with dignity and purpose. So let's talk about what we've achieved as an organization. We've served more than 5.8 million meals over the last 22 years through our food trucks, which I will tell you more about in a minute. We've empowered more than 20,000 volunteers into a lifestyle of service, serving alongside of us and caring for our neighbors in need. Right now, Community First Village has 225 homes on the ground in phase 1. We are in the process of building 310 more homes on a second phase of Community First Village, which is our 51-acre master plan community that cares for those who have experienced long-term homelessness. And then we also have paid out more than $2 million in dignified income just in the last couple of years alone. And that is helping our neighbors to experience the dignity of work. And I will share more about that as we move forward. So there are three primary ways that Mobile Loaves and Fishes serves our community. The Mobile Loaves and Fishes food trucks have been around for 22 years. Many of you have seen them in the community, and hopefully some of you have even had the opportunity to serve on one of those food trucks. Those trucks go out 365 days a year to connect human to human, heart to heart, with our friends who are experiencing homelessness. And our goal on those trucks is not just to provide food, but also to connect, to provide a relationship, to really get to know our friends who are on the streets. It is the work that we've done on those food trucks that helped us to envision and create Community First Village, this 51-acre master plan community that we've created. And then our community works programs are our micro enterprise opportunities that we have created to employ and engage our neighbors in purposeful work. So I'm going to show you a little bit of Community First Village now. I always love to give people a bit of a visual of what this place is all about. I certainly want to invite all of you to visit for yourselves if you haven't had the opportunity to do that yet, to come and visit for a tour and to see this place in person. Let me first tell you a little bit about the people who live here. So the average age of our folks that live at Community First Village is 58 years old. The average time that they spent on the streets is 10+ years. So we have folks that have experienced, in some cases, 20, 30, even 40 years of homelessness. 65% of the people who call Community First Village home are managing 2 or more chronic illnesses. And then in the 5 years that we've been open, the average age of death for the folks who have lived here is under 60 years old. So as you can see, this is a vulnerable population. You can see on the screen some of our friends who live here and who call this village home. I will tell you from my personal experience, they are some of the most extraordinary men and women I have ever had the opportunity to know. They have suffered and struggled, but they are some of the most resilient leaders I have ever met in my life. And I'm excited for all of you to get to know them and to get to know their stories. So this gives you an aerial view of Community First Village so that you can see it from the air. On the one side, you can see what is already developed. We have a village. The first phase has tiny homes and RVs. It's at 95% capacity already. And then you can see the other area is phase 2, which is under development. So we are in the process of building 310 more homes to lift our friends off the streets. And we will not stop there. Mobile Loaves and Fishes will continue to build future phases of Community First Village because we recognize the need that exists in our community and the fact that we have a particularly unique approach in creating permanent housing for our friends and a supportive community for them to live in for the rest of their lives. So I mentioned that we have tiny homes, so I wanted to give you a flavor of what that looks like. So this is just one of the wonderful tiny homes at Community First Village. Here's another, just to give you a sense of the diversity of the types of homes. We work with local architects as well as local home builders. So we've engaged some of the most gifted architects in Austin, and then some of the most prominent home builders come out here to build these homes, and it is their really commitment that has made this possible. They've come alongside of us to ensure that our neighbors who have experienced homelessness have a beautiful place to call home. This is just giving you a visual of phase 2 of Community First Village. These are some of the new homes on the ground that we are preparing to move neighbors into, and we are so excited to begin welcoming neighbors home. I'm going to walk you through and tell you a bit about our Community Works programs just to give you an overview of what we do here. What I want to start with is just an understanding that there is dignity in work. And so we believe that very profoundly. Everyone who lives at Community First Village pays rent in order to live here. And so we provide opportunities for our neighbors to earn a dignified income through a variety of programs. So one of our programs is our Genesis Gardens program. We have on site at Community First Village an organic farm, and our neighbors are able to work alongside of us in that farm with volunteers and members of the community who come to help us to really grow amazing food that we can share with our neighbors who live here and provide wonderful opportunities for our neighbors to cultivate that land and cultivate the food that is created that is provided free of charge to our neighbors. We have a farmer's market every Saturday where our neighbors have the opportunity to get the food that is produced through our garden. We also have an art program where we make fine art, pottery, ceramics. We have a jewelry making program, a soap making program, and our neighbors are able to use their incredible creative gifts and talents in order to earn dignified income. This is our brand new Community Works Entrepreneur Hub. This is a new building that just opened on phase 2. It's an incredible building where our neighbors get to show us their entrepreneurial gifting. They are able to create art and jewelry and soap and other products in this building. And it is such an amazing place to see our friends who lived on the streets be able to work and just enjoy being able to use the gifts and talents that they have. We have a forge and wood shop where our neighbors are able to make amazing products like the bottle openers that you see here. We also have an incredible culinary program where we are able to provide food for events that we host here at the village. We also have a grill on site that is open throughout the week to be able to serve the many volunteers that come and work at Community First Village. We average 285 volunteers a week that serve alongside of us at Community First Village to make everything that we do here possible. We have a community car care program, so our neighbors are able to do a variety of different things to cars. We do car washes, car detailing, we do oil changes, car inspections, and they do amazing work. I was able to get my oil changed yesterday here at the village, and I'm always so proud to have our neighbors do that work and earn a dignified income for it. We also have a program called Goodness Press, a screen printing business that we have started where we are able to make shirts. We make all of our own goodness gear that we sell, but then we're also able to take orders from local schools, businesses, churches that are creating different promotional products, and we're able to work alongside them. And our neighbors do that work, and they're able to earn a dignified income for it. And then we have our community cinema. Our great friends at the Alamo Drafthouse helped us to create an outdoor movie theater, so we are able to show free movies under the stars. During this time of coronavirus, we have had to place that on pause, but we have made a pivot and we've been doing drive-in movies. So for the rest of 2020, you can come out to Community First Village and we have a drive-in movie that is available to you. So you can learn more about that on Mobile Loaves and Fish's social media channels if you're interested in learning more. I want to tell you about the replication of this model just to give you a sense of how this model is being replicated beyond Austin. So you can see the various dots on the screen show the places that are replicating this movement. We see what we've created at Community First Village as not something that is just going to change things here in our city in Austin, but also something that will change how we approach chronic homelessness in other cities across the country. So to break down what you're seeing on that map there, we have folks that have come to learn about this village and to work toward replication from 31 different states across the US, plus Washington, D.C., 155 different cities, more than 400 people have come to learn from us about how to replicate this model and how to ensure that we have an approach for caring for the chronically homeless, the most vulnerable in cities across the United States. So what are the ways that you can help? How can you get involved in the work that we are doing at Community First Village? First and foremost, I just encourage you to learn more. Keep learning about homelessness so that you can be an advocate for our homeless neighbors. There are so many ways to learn. One of the best ways is just to connect with the organizations that are serving this population. So of course, we'd love to have you come and serve alongside of us at Mobile Loaves and Fishes, but there are many other fantastic organizations in our community, like Sunrise Homeless Navigation Center, the Other Ones Foundation, Caritas of Austin, Front Steps, Trinity Center, the Salvation Army, LifeWorks, and so many more. There are so many fantastic organizations that are serving our neighbors. So come and learn more so that you can be an advocate. I invite you to tour Community First Village. I'm hoping that soon we will reopen our village to the public. We've been on a lockdown because of coronavirus, but hopefully soon we'll be able to reopen so that you can come and see this place for yourself, because the best way to understand what we do at Community First Village is to come on a tour and really experience it. You can sign up to volunteer. We have virtual volunteer opportunities that are available now. And as we move through this pandemic, we will look forward to welcoming our volunteers back on site very soon. Organizing a group serve day. The Austin Young Chamber has served together in the past, and I know we'll continue to do that. I also know that all of you work for organizations that may be looking for opportunities to serve together. So that's another great way to get involved and to get connected to our work. You're always invited to come to movies at our community cinema, and we'd love to see you for that. And then I invite you to just spread the word. Use your halo. You have halo impact. It's what we call it at Mobile Loaves and Fishes. These are all the people that you know and that you care about, that you can let your halo shine and tell them about what you've learned about Mobile Loaves and Fishes and the work that we do at Community First Village. So, of course, there's not an opportunity for you guys to ask me questions, but I do invite you to connect, reach out via social media or reach out via our website, and I'll be happy to answer questions that you have. I want to thank you for this incredible opportunity to tell you about the work that we do at Community First Village. We are so proud of the opportunity that we have to serve our neighbors in need and to engage our entire community in a conversation about homelessness and in being part of how we respond as a community, how we come together and say that we don't think it's acceptable for any of our neighbors to live outside, that we want to be part of the solution together as a community. So I welcome you into that, and I ask you to continue to be part of the solution, to care for our homeless neighbors. And I thank you for the opportunity to share with you, and I look forward to meeting you in person and seeing you at Community First Village soon. Take care, and thank you so much for this opportunity.
Amber, thank you again for taking the time to join us and sharing this critical information about where we are as a community as we look at homelessness in Central Texas. It's clear that there is amazing work being done at Mobile Loaves and Fishes, and we thank you and your team for giving this mission such life and helping so many of our neighbors. We all can and should join you in this work. And to our attendees today, thank you for joining us as well. It's important to learn more. As Amber said, getting informed is the first step on our journey to getting engaged and active in helping solve homelessness in our community. We encourage you to join us for part 2 of this discussion, Homeless and ATX, Policy Solutions to Help Our Neighbors, on September 24th at 4:30 p.m. We look forward to seeing you there, and thanks again, Amber, for joining us.
Thank you.